Chapter 1 Funny Attempt Story in the bustling city of Utensilopolis, where kitchen gadgets roamed the streets and culinary chaos was the norm, two arch-nemeses stood out, Captain Whisk and Dr. Spatula. Captain Whisk, a dashing hero with a handlebar mustache and a penchant for whipping up trouble, wielded a magical whisk that could froth milk into a storm or beat eggs into submission. His sidekick, Ladle Larry, was always ready to scoop up the bad guys. Dr. Spatula, on the other hand, was a villainous genius. With his titanium spatula arm and a frying pan for a hat, he cooked up diabolical schemes. His henchmen, the Skillet Squad, sizzled with evil intent. One sunny morning, Captain Whisk received an urgent call. The city's prized cheese souffle was missing. The mayor, a rotund rolling pin named Mayor Doughboy, pleaded for help. Captain Whisk, Mayor Doughboy wailed, "The souffle has vanished. It was here 1 minute, and poof, gone the next." Captain Whisk stroked his mustache. "Fear not, Mayor, Ladle Larry, and I will get to the bottom of this cheesy mystery." They followed a trail of breadcrumbs to Dr. Spatula's lair, a converted bakery with a neon sign that read "Evil Eats." Inside, they found Dr. Spatula flipping pancakes. "Ah, Captain Whisk," Dr. Spatula said, twirling his spatula arm. "I see you've come for a taste of defeat." The battle began. Captain Whisk whipped up a meringue tornado, while Ladle Larry flung ladles like ninja stars. Dr. Spatula retaliated with a pancake barrage, but Captain Whisk deftly deflected them. "Your souffle-stealing days are over, Spatula," Captain Whisk declared. But just as victory seemed assured, Dr. Spatula pulled out his secret weapon, the non-stick spray of slippery escape. He sprayed it on the floor, and both heroes slid into a corner. "Curse you, Spatula!" Captain Whisk grumbled, trying to regain his footing. Dr. Spatula cackled. "You're stuck, Whisk. Now, behold my Pi CD assistance, the Flapjack Flipper." He swung the giant spatula, catapulting Captain Whisk and Ladle Larry out the window and into a giant pancake stack below. As they sank into the fluffy abyss, Captain Whisk shouted, "We'll rise again, Spatula." Chapter 2 The sun rose over Utensilopolis, casting a golden glow on the city's cobblestone streets. Captain Whisk and Ladle Larry, still sticky from their pancake plunge, stumbled out of the pancake stack and dusted themselves off. "Next time," Captain Whisk grumbled, "I'm bringing a spatula repellent." Ladle Larry nodded. "And maybe some maple syrup for good luck." Their mission continued. This time, the villainous scent led them to the local bakery, Sweet Temptations. The air was thick with the aroma of freshly baked donuts, and the display case sparkled with glazed, powdered, and jelly-filled delights. Behind the counter stood the bakery's owner, Granny Donut. She wore a flour-dusted apron and a mischievous twinkle in her eye. "Welcome, heroes," Granny Donut said. "What brings you here?" Captain Whisk cleared his throat. "Granny, we're investigating the disappearance of the city's cheese souffle. Have you seen anything suspicious?" Granny Donut leaned in, her powdered sugar-covered finger to her lips. "Well, darlings, I did see something peculiar last night. A donut with a cape flew out the window." "A donut with a cape?" Ladle Larry raised an eyebrow. "Yes." Granny Donut pointed to the window. "It soared toward the old flour mill. Follow the sprinkles, and you'll find your answers." Captain Whisk and Ladle Larry dashed out, following the sugary trail. The old flour mill loomed ahead, a crumbling tower of flour sacks and forgotten recipes. Inside, they discovered the Donut Den, a secret lair where donuts congregated. There, perched on a powdered sugar throne, was the Donut King, a jelly-filled donut with a scepter made of pretzel sticks. "Ah, Captain Whisk," the Donut King boomed, "you've come for a taste of defeat." Captain Whisk raised his whisk. "Your doughy reign ends here, King." The battle was fierce. Jelly-filled donuts rolled like cannonballs, and Bavarian creams spun like tornadoes. Ladle Larry swung his ladle, creating a syrupy shield. But the Donut King had a secret weapon, the Sprinkle Storm. He summoned a whirlwind of rainbow sprinkles, blinding our heroes. "Give up, Whisk." The Donut King laughed. "You're in a sticky situation." Captain Whisk squinted through the sprinkles. "Ladle Larry, combine our forces." Ladle Larry dipped his ladle into the batter of courage. "Together, Captain." They twirled their utensils, creating a vortex that sucked up the sprinkle storm. The Donut King wobbled, losing his balance. "Impossible!" he cried. Captain Whisk seized the moment. He whisked up a meringue tornado, enveloping the Donut King. The jelly-filled monarch deflated like a punctured tire. Sweet victory, Captain Whisk declared. Granny Donut appeared, clapping her flurry hands. Well done, darlings. Now, how about a victory donut? And so, Captain Whisk and Ladle Larry sat at the bakery, savoring glazed triumphs and plotting their next adventure. Chapter 3. In the heart of Utensilopolis, where the aroma of culinary chaos hung thick in the air, Dr. Spatula plotted his most devious recipe yet. His titanium spatula arm gleamed with malevolence, and his frying pan hat sizzled with anticipation. Captain Whisk and Ladle Larry, still recovering from their donut duel, received an urgent message. Mayor Doughboy rolled into their kitchen headquarters, flour flying. "Captain," Mayor Doughboy exclaimed, "Dr. Spatula has kidnapped the city's prized whisk collection. He's whisk-napped them." Captain Whisk clenched his whisk. "Fear not, Mayor. We'll beat him at his own game." They followed the scent of scrambled eggs to Dr. Spatula's lair, a kitchenware warehouse with shelves stacked high. There, surrounded by whisks of all shapes and sizes, Dr. Spatula stirred a bubbling cauldron. "Ah, Captain Whisk," Dr. Spatula grinned, "welcome to my whiskatorium. Behold the Whiskinator." The Whiskinator was a monstrous blender with whisks for blades. It spun faster than a tornado, threatening to blend the heroes into frothy oblivion. Ladle Larry gulped. "Captain, what's our plan?" Captain Whisk scanned the room. "We need a distraction. Something exciting." He grabbed a giant eggplant and hurled it at the Whiskinator. The blender sputtered, distracted by the vegetable assault. "Now, Larry!" Captain Whisk shouted. Ladle Larry flung ladles like boomerangs, knocking Dr. Spatula off balance. But the villain recovered, wielding a spatula shield. "Your whisk-napping days end here," Captain Whisk declared. Dr. Spatula lunged, spatula arm spinning. Captain Whisk dodged, but the spatula grazed his handlebar mustache. "Nice try, Spatula," Captain Whisk taunted. "But you're toast." He whipped up a meringue storm, blinding Dr. Spatula. Ladle Larry seized the moment, scooping up the villain's spatula. "Give up, Dr. Spatula," Ladle Larry said. "Your flipping days are over." But Dr. Spatula had one last trick. He pulled out the Whiskinator's secret ingredient, a jar of whisker sauce. With a flick of his spatula, he uncorked it. The room filled with a whirlwind of whisks. Captain Whisk and Ladle Larry were whisked off their feet, spiraling toward the ceiling. "Whisker sauce," Captain Whisk gasped. "Our weakness," Dr. Spatula grinned. "Indeed. And now, prepare for the ultimate blend." As the Whiskinator revved up, Captain Whisk had an idea. He whispered to Ladle Larry, who nodded. Together, they flung Ladle Larry's ladle into the Whiskinator's gears. The blender groaned, sparks flying. Whisks tangled, and the room filled with a frothy explosion. When the dust settled, Dr. Spatula lay defeated, whisk-napped by his own creation. "Whisker sauce," Captain Whisk panted, "our greatest foe." Mayor Doughboy rolled in, flour-covered tears in his eyes. "Thank you, heroes. The whisks are safe." Captain Whisk adjusted his mustache. Another whisk-tacular victory. And so, Utensilopolis slept soundly, unaware that a new threat loomed. Chapter 4. In the heart of Utensilopolis, where flour dust danced in the morning light, Captain Whisk and Ladle Larry faced their newest adversary, the Rolling Pin Renegade. The Rolling Pin Renegade, a cylindrical villain with a penchant for pastry puns, rolled into town atop a croissant-shaped skateboard. His handlebars were made of pretzel sticks, and his battle cry was "Prepare to be flattened." Captain Whisk, Ladle Larry whispered, "He's rolling our way." Captain Whisk adjusted his mustache. "Fear not, Larry. We'll rise to the occasion." The Rolling Pin Renegade twirled toward them, leaving a trail of flurry destruction. "Whisk, prepare to be deliciously defeated." Captain Whisk brandished his whisk. "Your threats are half-baked, Renegade." The battle began. The Rolling Pin Renegade spun like a tornado, flinging baguettes and cinnamon rolls. Ladle Larry deflected with his ladle, creating a syrupy shield. But the villain had a secret weapon, the donut hole of doom. He hurled it at Captain Whisk, who dodged, narrowly avoiding a sticky fate. "Nice try," Captain Whisk taunted. "But I need more than that to defeat me." Ladle Larry seized the moment. He dipped his ladle into a vat of chocolate ganache, creating a gooey lasso. With a flick of his wrist, he ensnared the Rolling Pin Renegade. "Caught you, Renegade!" Ladle Larry grinned. But the villain had one last trick. He unrolled his skateboard, revealing a hidden compartment, a custard cannon. "Prepare for a cream-filled finale," the Rolling Pin Renegade shouted. He aimed the cannon at Captain Whisk. Custard splattered everywhere, blinding our hero. Ladle Larry stumbled, covered in goo. "Captain!" Ladle Larry cried. "We're in a sticky situation." Captain Whisk wiped custard from his mustache. "Larry, combine our forces." They twirled their utensils, creating a vortex that sucked up the custard. The rolling pin renegade wobbled, losing his balance. "Impossible!" he exclaimed. Captain Whisk seized the moment. He whipped up a meringue storm, enveloping the villain. The rolling pin renegade deflated like an overproofed baguette. "Sweet victory," Captain Whisk declared. Mayor Doughboy rolled in, flour-covered tears in his eyes. "Thank you, heroes. The city is safe once more." Captain Whisk patted Ladle Larry's gooey shoulder. Another Whisk-tastic triumph. And so, Utensilopolis slept soundly, unaware that a new threat loomed: a spatula with a grudge and a whisker in its eye. Chapter 5: Dr. Spatula, the Rolling Pin Renegade, and a mysterious third adversary. The Whisker Wizard had joined forces. The Whisker Wizard, clad in a robe woven from egg whites, wielded a staff made of intertwined whisks. His eyes sparkled like sugar crystals, and his voice echoed through the kitchen catacombs. "Welcome, heroes," the Whisker Wizard intoned. "I am the keeper of Whisker's secrets, the one who needs destiny itself." Captain Whisk adjusted his mustache. "What do you want, wizard?" The Whisker Wizard swirled his staff. "A whisker duel, of course. Whisks at dawn." And so, the Whisker Wars began. The Flurry Abyss trembled as our heroes faced their adversaries. Round 1, Spatula Showdowner. Spatula flipped pancakes, while Captain Whisk whipped up a meringue storm. Ladle Larry flung ladles like boomerangs, creating a syrupy shield. But the spatula strikes back. Dr. Spatula unveiled his secret weapon, the spatula of infinite flips. He flipped reality itself, sending our heroes into a pancake dimension. Round 2, Rolling Pin Rumbleaf. Rolling Pin Renegade spun like a dough tornado, flinging baguettes and cinnamon rolls. Captain Whisk dodged, but Ladle Larry got caught in a sticky bun trap. The Renegade unrolled his skateboard, revealing a hidden compartment, a custard cannon 2.0. Custard splattered everywhere, blinding our heroes. But Ladle Larry, fueled by syrupy determination, flung his ladle into the cannon's gears. The Rolling Pin Renegade deflated like an overproofed baguette. Round 3, Whisker Wizard Drive. Whisker Wizard chanted incantations, summoning whisker storms. Whisks swirled, creating a vortex of batter and destiny. Captain Whisk and Ladle Larry twirled their utensils, countering the magic. But the Whisker Wizard had a final trick: the Whisker of Time. He whisked them through culinary epics: the Stone Whisk Age, the Renaissance Whisk, and the Whisk Wars of 2077. Our heroes emerged, flour-covered and wiser. Final round, Donut Duel. The Donut King, resurrected from his custard demise, rolled in. "I crave vengeance." Captain Whisk raised his whisk. "Prepare to be glazed, King." The battle was delicious. Jelly-filled donuts rolled like cannonballs. Bavarian creams spun like tornadoes. Ladle Larry dipped his ladle into a vat of chocolate ganache, creating a gooey lasso. The Donut King countered with the Sprinkle Storm 2.0. But Captain Whisk had a secret ingredient: the whisker sauce. He flung it at the Donut King, who deflated like a day-old donut. As the Flurry Abyss settled, our heroes stood victorious. The Whisker Wizard vanished, leaving behind a whisk-shaped smoke trail. "Whisker Wars," Captain Whisk declared, "are whisk-tacular." And so, Utensilopolis slept soundly, unaware that a new threat loomed: a rolling pin with a grudge, a spatula with a score to settle, and a whisker in its eye. The end. Or is it?